Simple Ed, simplify processes, amplify results. Simple Ed.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar today, which is about fully funded Emirati students for community colleges. We'll be speaking about understanding the RizeUp Scholarship program today. We have our guest speaker, Ms. Farzan Nicola Vala, the Executive Director, International Programs from Lone Star College. We have our CEO and founder of SimpleEd, Mr. Yasir Ansari. So let's join in and let's make the most out of it today. So we'd be starting with Sir Yasir now. Yasir, we can proceed now.
Thank you so much, Arlene, for the introductions. We are going to discuss a very unique and special scholarship that was launched by the ADEC, which is the Abu Dhabi Education Ministry. And this scholarship is specifically for community colleges. So in today's webinar, these are the items that we will cover. We'll introduce you to the RizeUp Scholarship, and we'll discuss the eligibility requirements for community colleges, along with this, what are the requirements for the students. And lastly, we have Farzan joining us from Lone Star College. She has been part of this scholarship, so she's a great peer to discuss how her experience has been and any advice that she can share with anyone that is on the list or anyone that's just looking to get approved for this specific scholarship. So with that being said, let's dive in. So first of all, what is the RizeUp Scholarship? So the RizeUp Scholarship is an ambitious scholarship that was launched by the Abu Dhabi government, and specifically Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed. He has been spearheading the whole scholarship. So the scholarship has support from the leadership. And if you Google some of the images, you will see that he himself has been interacting with the students that were accepted into the scholarship. So this is a very, very new scholarship that was launched in the September of 2022. And it was launched by the Abu Dhabi government. So as we can see, the total amount that is being dedicated to the scholarship is about $520 million. And the scholarship has already started. We've seen cohorts of students that have already been accepted into the program, and they're already in the United States along with other institutions. More specifics about the scholarship. This scholarship will cover most of the cost associated with the students who are approved for this scholarship. Currently, there are 694 participants. And the scholarship, as we know, started only in 2022. The special thing about the scholarship is that it covers the cost of education along with the cost of 1 year of ESL education. So students that are not proficient in English language are also being part of the scholarship. And the special thing about the scholarship is that the students have to go to community college first before they transition into a 2-year university. And that is where the community college aspects come in. And this scholarship not only directly benefits community colleges because they benefit from the funding that students are going to receive, but also what the scholarship is indirectly doing, it's creating a lot of awareness about this specific scholarship along with community colleges as a whole. So what we're seeing, more counselors, more students and parents are becoming aware of what an associate degree is and what community colleges are, especially in the UAE. What is RizeUp Scholarship? As we were saying, the scholarship is a really big one for community colleges because a lot of dollar amount has been delegated to this specific scholarship. And one of the interesting things is that any students that benefit from the scholarship are required to study in community colleges first before they transition into a 4-year program. That being said, the scholarship is being launched because the UAE government really wants to empower its students and grow the knowledge-based economy of UAE. I'm sure if some of you that are aware of UAE, you will notice that a lot of students and expats and a lot of professionals come from many different nationalities in UAE. So UAE is making an effort to empower their population so they can be the workforce of tomorrow instead of bringing in workforce from other countries. So that is one of the main intent of the scholarship. So another important aspect to remember is that Khotwa is the Arabic name for this scholarship. So sometimes you might see these terms being used. They both mean the same thing. RizeUp is the English name and Khotwa is the Arabic name. And in the next few years, the goal of the scholarship is to send about 6,000 Emirati students by the year 2028. So this obviously creates a great opportunity for a lot of US community colleges, along with community colleges in other countries, including Australia and New Zealand. So that is what this program is doing. And as we are really excited about that, this scholarship is creating a lot of awareness about community colleges, associate degrees, all across UAE. So when we're talking to high school counselors, parents, and there is a question about the credibility of community colleges or are they the right fit, now we can confidently say that the government themselves are an advocate for community colleges. They are approving Emirati students to go and study in community colleges. So of course, they are great quality institutions. And many would argue that community colleges are a better fit for international students because of all the different aspects that they can address that a big, large institutions might not be able to address. So now let's look at the scholarship from a student's perspective. So these are the benefits that a students can gain if they are approved for this scholarship. And please keep in mind that this scholarship is in no way or form designed for high achieving students. This scholarship by design has been made for students that are mediocre, might not have excelled in academics, and might not even have the language proficiency. So the intent of the government is to empower these students, educate these students, and hopefully encourage them to pursue higher education. So they're also integrating employment help after the completion of the degree because they want these students to be part of the workforce. And along with most of the times when you recruit students or they come to your campus, you are burdened with a lot of things in terms of student advising. But unique thing about this scholarship is that these students are going to get advising before they even come to your campus. So the advisors of ADEC or the RizeUp advisors will help these students understand what an associate degree is, what they should expect, and also help them choose their majors. They will have access to one-on-one sessions with the dedicated team of advisors. And before they even come to the campus, they will have resources, training programs that will empower them to be better students on your campus. And of course, throughout the program, they will be having access to the ADEC team and their student support team. So at any point of time where they feel like they need extra help, they can reach out to the alumni network and also a network of their advisors back home. So with that being said, what does the application journey look like? So students would start with application. And as I mentioned earlier, there are steps that the government is taking to make sure that this scholarship is a successful one and it really goes on to empower students. So the second step is going to be the boot camp. This boot camp would be run in Abu Dhabi itself, so in the UAE, and students will have to attend this before they depart to United States and come and be part of your institution. And this is the time where they would receive all the counseling, all the advising, and hopefully a really good preparation for life ahead in United States. They're also doing pre-departure orientation and doing a lot of other programming as part of this boot camp to empower these students to be successful at community colleges. So what are some of the eligibility criteria for prospective students? Number one is they have to be Emirati students. So this scholarship, unfortunately, is not open to people residing in Abu Dhabi, but they must be nationals. The second thing is that they must have a 3.5 score in the IELTS within the last 2 years. And in grade 11th and 12th, they must have 60% and 65% or above. So as I mentioned, this scholarship has not been created for very high achieving students. It's accessible to a lot of students. So one of the things that we are focusing on when we are going to different high schools and talking about US higher education, talking about community colleges, we are making sure that Emirati students are aware that, hey, this is an opportunity available for you. If you want to go to the United States and don't want to, and you are concerned about finances, this is a great route to take. Along with that, one of the very interesting thing that is part of the scholarship is commitment to a homestay program. And in my opinion, and this is an opinion, this is not an official statement, that there are some community colleges in the United States that have dorms available. However, there's many that don't. And I think in order to address that concern, this policy has been implemented that students should be part of the homestay program. The other thought behind this is that it will help students assimilate better and understand the American culture better, which will lead to them being more successful, more integrated on campus. Now let's look at things from your perspective and look at things that are pertaining to you. What are requirements for community colleges to be approved or be considered to be part of this scholarship? So of course, I think the first one is easy. I think most community colleges have great articulation agreements, guaranteed admissions with many four-year degree granting institutions. So I think that is something that not a lot of them would have a lot of challenges on. The second one is a little tricky one. One of the requirements of this program is that the community college must have their own English language program. So if you do not have English language program, then unfortunately, it will be very challenging for you to be approved for this scholarship program. And the third one is, again, some community colleges have great homestay programs, some don't. But keep in mind, the homestay program doesn't necessarily need to be your own program. You can party with a third-party provider and create a homestay program. So in case you don't have a homestay program, there is a workaround, and you can provide that to the students that are coming through this specific scholarship. And I think the last requirement is a very generic one, but they have identified few majors that they are pushing students towards, and those are the majors that they are kind of highlighting as part of the program. But there's not any major that's specifically being eliminated. And I think when we call person on the floor, she can talk more from her practical experience of working with ADEC professionals, working with the team, and how has it been really dealing with the scholarship recipients. Now, why do we believe this is so important for most community colleges to be aware of this scholarship and how they can benefit from it? So, of course, the number one benefit is that we can get a lot of good, fully funded Emirati students on campus. And not only you will be able to provide them support, they will have additional support back home as part of this program. So complete responsibility doesn't necessarily lie on you, but there will be an additional cheerleader that's going to help them become successful students. Not only will this grow our international enrollment population, but it will also diversify the population as well. And for the government, they are investing in it, both in terms of human resources and financially, and making sure that their students become successful. And other opportunities that it's creating for community colleges is, which I've addressed, is the awareness about community colleges, which is something that we've been focusing on for last several years, trying to educate students outside of the United States what a great option community colleges can be for them if they are thinking about pursuing higher education in the United States. So some of the challenges that are faced by community colleges right now are, of course, funding budgets are shrinking. right? So it's very hard to invest in international student recruitment, very hard to travel internationally. And when you do get an opportunity to travel, the question of ROI is always there. So what this program does is, most of the community colleges that we're talking to, they're getting cohorts of students. So sometimes 10 students, 8 students, 12 students. And as an international student enrollment specialist, getting 8 to 10 students from one single trip or one single program is a great number. So I think the ROI can definitely be tenfold if we decide to invest in this specific program. There are many US community colleges that are part of this program. And you can go on the website of Kotwa Scholarship or RizeUp Scholarship. These are just a few examples that we wanted to share. These are institutions that are already part of this program. And the reason we're sharing them, because we are all colleagues. I'm sure you know some of them. So it would be great for you if you wanted to get in touch with them and see how they're doing, what their experience has been so far. Few more colleges. Some of these are more on the West Coast. With that being said, I would like to invite Person, and she will share more about her experience with this specific scholarship. So thank you so much for listening to me. I will return towards the end of the presentation, and my purpose would be to share a few links with you that will help you learn more about the scholarship and more about the program. Thank you so much. Over to you, Person.
Thank you, Yasser. And again, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are. I'm Persana Kolawala, and I serve as the Executive Director for International Programs at Lone Star College. So just a very brief overview about who we are. We are a public institution. We are based here in Houston, and we are one of the largest community colleges. We have about 80,000 students, but we span across 8 different campuses and 21 instructional sites. We're all based in Houston. We are one of the largest or the fastest growing community colleges in the nation. Lone Star does host about 3,000 international students from over 100 different countries. So we do have a very diverse student population. And before the program, however, I must say that we did not have any students from the UAE. So there were no UAE students amongst the 3,000 international students that we have. And again, we are also a minority Hispanic serving institution. So moving on to the next slide. So I just wanted to give you guys an overview about how we were able to participate in the program or in the call. So in spring of 23 is when we hosted our first cohort of the Kotwa students. And I do not have any information for any of you who are trying to get onto the scholarship as to how do you apply, how do you get on their list of approved schools. Because fortunately for us, they were the ones that came to us and said, we are piloting this program, and we want to send our students to community colleges, and would Lone Star be willing to partner with us? And of course, and so we did. So in spring of 23, we received our first cohort of 9 students, and every semester, we've been receiving about 9 or 10 students. I think just last semester, there were probably about the largest cohort of 15 students. So right now we host about 30 students through this program. They are usually, I kind of base them on one campus just because, they have some special requirements that they have to meet that are part of the program, and just administratively, it's easier for me to have them on one campus, maximum like 1 or 2 campuses. And that also helps with the homestay program because, Lone Star College does not offer any residence halls or on-campus housing. So it's very important that, we base them on campuses where we think that they're going to have, good success with the homestay program as well. So one of the things about the homestay program, I must say, is that, we didn't necessarily have to do anything the leadership in ADEC, they partner with a homestay provider. I think they're called studentsroom.com or something like that. So they partner with a third party. Students know that they have to be in a homestay program. They have certain requirements that, the homestay has to follow. And then, students are made aware of who their families are, et cetera, et cetera. And that is pretty much taken care of by, the ADEC folks in UAE. Once the student do come, to Houston, they also have some acclimation support or some mentors through Mind-Based Education. That's another, provider based here locally, in Houston, and they have advisors for students that kind of help them with some acclimation support, the MOS, other things that the students may need. And most importantly, these students are really well monitored. So, there are advisors back in UAE that are looking at, what programs of study the students are taking, if they're within the approved list of programs, and, making sure that they're progressing well in class, also making sure that, their grades are up to par, because the selection process for these students is something that, as a host institution, I'm not aware, right? So I don't know how these 15 students got placed at Lone Star College, for example, but that's the school that, they choose to come. We are, in terms of admission support, they already, they have so many applications. So again, that's also outsourced. So it's a third party like IDP. If you guys work in international admissions, you probably know them a little bit. They're a third party that will vet all these applications for you, and you have to make an admission decision. So we basically get all of that support through ADEC. The students are vetted. We know we are getting 15 students. We receive all of their application material in just one go, making sure that it meets the requirements that we have. And we are not communicating with the students at that time. We're only communicating with the third party, either it's IDP or with ADEC, making sure that we have everything to accept the students. Typically, visas are not a problem. Everybody who is placed, does arrive on campus since it's a government-run program. So there is not a lot of, upfront work that as an institution you would have to do. However, I will say that it would be very important. Although students have all of the support and they're signing a contract with ADEC. So just keeping in mind that, again, going from my experience as a host institution, we are not necessarily told what our responsibilities are as a host institution. So if you've ever been a part of, U.S. Department of State exchanges like IREX or something, we know exactly what to do as a host institution or what is expected of us. So there's a little bit of a communication gap in that sense, where, and again, it was piloted, so it wasn't necessarily fleshed out as well as they could. It was just a pilot. Let's try this and see where it goes. So there is a little bit of a communication gap, but I must say that every time I have reached out to, the advisors or even the leadership over there at ADEC, I have received very prompt responses as to what, we should do as an institution. Again, Yasser very clearly mentioned that this is not for high achieving students. So you are really not getting, if you're familiar with the UAE, you're really not getting students that are like from Dubai. You're really getting students from like the suburbs, which are like Alain and, Ajman and some of the smaller, Emirates in the UAE. They do not have, so the English language skills of most of the students that we get are, pretty low. Some of them could be as low as, level 1 of ESOL. And I know that maybe not all institutions offer like really low levels of ESOL, but I know that when the students come to our institution, they have to give a placement test, just like everybody else. And sometimes they score even lower than level 1. So that becomes a little tricky, and then we work it out with a deck. Now, keeping in mind that this is a pilot program that just started it, there are certain things that are still not worked out, or at least, not fully fleshed out. And they do send students to Canada and Australia as well. They do not have a full understanding of how colleges and universities work in the US. So sometimes they're asking for things that are not making sense. And for example, like we just said, they do pay for 1 year of ESOL. And we quickly realized as an institution that some of their students were so low that they would be studying for 2 years in an ESOL program to even get where they need to be. Now, again, I think what they did not understand was that we are an academic institution, not a language school. So language school, as we all know, it's kind of more expedited. It's, you can jump levels in a given semester. But for us, and they work on contact hours, as opposed to our ESL program is a credit hour based program. So looking at that, and, there were some challenges in the beginning to kind of help them understand that, every semester the student is studying 16 weeks of at the same level of ESOL, unless, they retake the placement test and they're able to place out, or that this is the natural progression of somebody who has to finish ESOL. So I think, a lot of things have changed since they first started, but now they allow for ESOL up to 18 months if it's necessary for the student, and that they're making, good progress throughout, their academic career. I think one pro tip that I'm going to give you guys is, apart from all the pre-departure information and whatever they do when they're in UAE and whatever information they get from those, from a deck, I would highly recommend that, if you are going to get students, or if you're going to be part of this program, that you conduct your own pre-departure information session. Again, because the whole group, they're going to different institutions, they're going to different countries. You want to make sure that the students understand what to expect when they come to your institution. And you have to also be very firm that they all attend, that they've understood what you're asking them to do. And like we all know, if you have, if you deal with a lot of international students, and specifically from, the Middle East, I have, so, this is in no way any kind of judgment, because I have lived there. And, this is not a, like, oh my gosh, these students are needy, but they may not, that's not their intention, but it always comes out as, a little entitled. So what we did was, apart from the pre-departure, we conduct our own orientation, which we do for all students, but we did a specific one for them to help them understand that this is what you signed with a deck. This is what you agreed to when you were part of the scholarship. And this is what you're agreeing to when you're coming to Lone Star College. Because, and as you all deal with international students, you already know that when you have a lot of students from a particular country, and if they're only on one campus, sometimes, they all flock together to different departments. So if I have to send them to academic advising, all 15 of them will go at the same time, not understanding how things work, in the US. So we did offer, a lot of things to kind of help them understand, the culture, what is the US classroom culture, what is the culture here in the US. And we also do that keeping the mind-based advisors, they are the ones that help with acclimation. So we kind of have this projected, this united front that, hey, this is what needs to be done. So I think, some of the things that we did to help the students, and to also kind of influence some of the policies or the procedures and, that EDEC had for the program, that was one of it. The culture and the U.S. classroom workshops, they were very, very important. We do have specific academic advisors, and of course, then we have the DSOs, and helping them understand that, there is no cross-functionality there. My DSOs are not going to academically advise you, and the academic advisors, you cannot ask them if, you can take this class online or, get a reduced course load. So I think those were some of the things that we kind of had to work out, having the students and being very firm with the fact that, we need you in the country at least 2 weeks before classes start, because like we went back to, English proficiency, and all of them, invariably will start with ESOL, even if it's just for one semester, and sometimes, they progress on further. But for some of them, they just couldn't believe that their placement test score was so low. And they kept giving it again and again and again and again. And it was just dealing registration and, all these holds on their accounts that needed to be taken care of. And also keeping in mind that the students have a lot of pressure. I mean, they have signed a contract with EDEC as to, what EDEC will pay for. So they're under a lot of pressure to finish quickly. And sometimes, for some students, that results in a lot of, unfair practices in the classroom. So, like cheating on tests or plagiarism, that's very common. And one of the other things that we have started doing is, just giving them some extra, extra assistance, extra help towards the end, which is we do some coffee and chat conversations and things like that. So anything extra that we can do to assist the students, with the acclimation and with, getting through the ESL program quickly. And one last thing that I'm going to leave you guys with, again, it is a fully funded program, but please make sure that you have support from the rest of your, the other departments that you work with to host these students. Because, for example, at Lone Star College, we're dealing with academic advising, student financials, and all these other, and even faculty members who are going to get these students in their classroom. And how are we going to help these students, because they are going to be a little special. For financials, for example, we know that they're fully funded. The payment's going to come, but it's not coming in time for some of the processes that run automatically. So making sure that other departments are aware and they're able to still hold their classes, because our first payment, I still remember when we first started with them, we didn't, it was maybe 2 or 3 months until we got our first payment. So if you're new to this program, I will say that just make sure that you have enough support within your office and support from other, departments that will touch the students, and kind of working together to make sure that, they have a seamless process. Otherwise, it gets very frustrating, for them and for you as a international admissions person. So I think really that's about it, and I think it kind of encompasses our experience.
Thank you so much, Person. Person, can you hear me before I start talking more?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So we are getting some very, very good questions. So I would like to start addressing them one by one. And while we are answering questions, I'm going to pull up a QR code on the screen. So this QR code will take you to a link tree, and there will be a bunch of different links that you can access. But one of the most important links that you would find in this link tree is going to be the ADEC handout. So when we were at the NAFSA conference, there was a specific handout that they were giving to community colleges. So what we did is we collected that handout and we scanned it and we made it available to all of you. So if you are interested in getting that, you can definitely download it by scanning this QR code. So yes, we are getting some really, really great questions, and I'll start projecting them on the screen. So one of them is that, from my understanding, ADEC no longer works with IDP.
I mean, They used to solely work with IDP, but now they have other companies that they also work with. So I don't think IDP is completely out of the equation, but they're not only working with IDP. I think they're working with some other companies as well, as far as, you know, my last meeting with them was.
Right. So one of the companies that I'm familiar with is called Mindbase. You can Google them as well. So that is another organization that they're currently working with. And I think there was an interesting question about homestays. That's always a very controversial topic. And there's also some information. So here's the question on the screen. I hope everyone can see that. So one of the point that was brought up, that now it sounds like they're making changes. So if you're not part of the ESL program, but you are part of the associate degree program, you can live off campus. Still, I've not heard anything officially. It's not officially on their website or any place, but that's what we've heard. Anything that you can add to that, person?
Yes, actually, that is correct. So I don't know about their website, but it is, I have an official statement from them that if you are if you're in the associate program, so you're a college student, then yes, you can go outside and get your own apartment. But as long as you are in ESOL, they will not approve under any circumstance for you to live in apartments. And to Kate's question, actually, like issues with homestays, unfortunately, we have had endless issues with homestays. So the company that they contract with ADEC contracts with, is placing them with these families. And I will tell you, I mean, we're in Houston. It's a very big, diverse city. If I was given, or if anybody was given the opportunity to make anywhere between $1,800 to $2,000 to host an international student, I guess I would jump onto it without understanding what my responsibilities are as a host family. So I think that's where the issue is, where, the whole idea was to pair them with families where, that they would get acclimation support, they would practice their English and whatnot. They're being placed with bilingual families. So, sometimes with Spanish speaking families, and all they do is speak Spanish, and, they're actually learning Spanish. And, they come and tell me and they're like, oh, I learned this word in Spanish. I said, great. So yes, we are having that. And, in multiple occasions, I have made them aware that it's really not working out because it's not serving the purpose that it intends to. And that students are the ones that suffer, because really some of them are so heartbroken. They're like, all I do is go there to just sleep, because, they're supposed to provide food and, there is no food, or they're supposed to provide transportation. I'm just managing on my own. And unfortunately, I don't know why, but, ADEC won't change that policy.
I think there was another question just related to that. So if you don't have homestay, but you have dorms, and the student is still in English language program, can they stay in the dorms? That's the university or the college dorm.
I believe so. Yes. Yes.
That's my understanding as well in my conversation with RizeUp professionals, that yes, homestay is only required if you don't have dorms.
Correct.
So let me project the next question on the screen. And this is specifically for you, Pers.
Okay, so when you conduct, so no, we do not conduct anything in Arabic or any other language for that matter. Even for the ones that are lower level ESOL, and that's for all our orientations and all our pre-departure. We still do it in English. The one thing that I do make sure, though, is that their mentors or their advisors are on that session as well. So if they need help with translation, or if they need help understanding that, they would do that, because I don't want to set any precedent for the student that when they do come on campus, that even though I may have, Arabic speakers that could help them, that they're going to have to navigate this once they come on campus all in English. So yeah, we don't. And we do those virtually. Yes, we do those virtually. However, I think Yasser knows that I was going to be in UAE and I wanted to do one in person since I was there, but I guess the timing just didn't work out. But yes, we do them all virtually.
So I'm going to project the next question, and I will take this question first, and then I'll request person to talk about it. But this is a question that I get asked a lot. How do we contact RizeUp team? People share that they've emailed multiple times and have not received responses. Of course, person's experience has been a little different than some of the others. So one of the things that I can share is that if you do go to the QR code that I shared and you do download the PDF, you will see an email address listed below. It's Craig's email address. He was the one who was physically present at the NAFSA conference. The other person is Michael, but I don't want to set any unreasonable expectations. A lot of people are not receiving responses. The other thing, just so that you understand how ADEC works, so when we do high school visits in Abu Dhabi, no matter what the institution we are traveling with, everyone needs to get their approval before we can do any workshops in high school. And this is something that we've been doing for multiple years, right? We know their team, we have visited their office physically, but every single time it's a long drawn process. Sometimes we have to send team members to the office that are physically sitting there from morning till the evening just to get those approvals. So unfortunately, working with government agencies sometimes can be a little challenging, and there might not always be straight answers or a straight line. But the good news is that along with CCID, which is Community Colleges for International Development, which is a consortium of community colleges, along with them, we have put together a 5-day trip to UAE, and we will be meeting ADEC professionals. We are also trying to formalize a visit to the ADEC office so you can physically meet them, ask all your questions, and hopefully do a workshop. We are still facing challenges in putting that workshop together, but as the person shared, we have visited their office multiple times. We met their professionals. So that's definitely going to happen, but we'll keep you in the loop. But if you are interested in getting more Emirati students going to UAE and seeing things firsthand, this could be a great option for you. Over to you, Person.
Yeah, and Yasser, you kind of encompassed everything that I was going to say anyways, which is it is hard to get a hold of them. And also things keep changing and we don't know who's in charge of what. So, like Michael, you shared Michael's name, Michael is in charge of placing students in Canada. There's somebody else who's in charge of, placing students here in the US. So we just don't know, and we don't have, one single contact. Once the students are placed, that's when, we know who the advisors are and who we can contact. But right off the bat, I don't know. But Craig was the one that he attended CCID conference the last time too, I think, Yasser, and maybe he's the best shot for right now.
Craig is a really, really great guy, very helpful. He might not always be able to give you the answer that you're looking for, but he can definitely point you in the right direction. So I would encourage you to download that PDF and try to give it a shot by emailing him. And yeah, try to ask us specific questions so it's easier for him to answer also. But if you have any questions, any burning questions, or any information that you're seeking, please feel free to email me as well. What we are trying to do is put all of our strengths together, take a delegation there, and be a collective voice for community colleges along with CCID. Because together we are more powerful, we have more influence together, rather than we all trying to do the same thing separately. I'm not saying I'll be very, very successful. There's no guarantees, but I'll definitely make the effort for you and try to get you the answer that you're seeking. We have a new question on the screen, Person. Do you have any insights about this?
So no, I think that the students could be, so even Lone Star College, I mean, we are a system, right? And we have campuses all over. However, all our campuses do have the ESL program. So as long as, the partnership is with Lone Star, it doesn't matter on which campus they are. So I guess it would be fine for them to start ESOL at a particular campus and then, move on to other campuses where they could complete their associate degree. I think the only thing that would come into play is maybe, the homestay. If it's closer to one campus, what happens with the homestay program if the student is changing campus and going somewhere else? Because that has happened to us, students decided to take classes at another campus, 30, 40 minutes away, and their homestays basically refused and said, well, our agreement was to drive you to this campus, not that one. And then students, however, manage the transportation. So I think that would just be the sticking point. But otherwise, I don't think that should be a problem as long as it's under one district.
So I think we have a poll on the screen. If you have a chance, please vote so we know where do our attendees stand as of right now. But having said that, I think that brings us to the end of the webinar. So thank you everyone for attending, and a big thank you for being so patient with all my audio problems. So much. Thank you, Person, for joining us and sharing your thoughts and your insights about the program. And thank you to all the attendees for taking the time to join us. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Simple Ed, simplify processes, amplify results. Simple Ed.